No photos. Yeah, okay, ready. My name is Mensah Anderson. I go by the name of New York Transit Authority, and I'm a local DJ slash producer from Bristol. There were scenes, you said it there were scenes. There was your drum and bass scene. Drum and bass was a London thing, but it's also a Bristol thing. Full Cycle, DJ Dye, Ronnie Size, Clips, Sub, Crust, all the boys. They had something, and they had a family and a community around them of people who were into that sound, and would just the city was buzzing off of things like drum and bass, trip hop, Tricky, Massive Attack, these sort of people. And it's like, I feel that now there's less scenes, but I don't think that's anything to do with Bristol, or I just think that's music in general. I call it the iPod generation. Everyone's got shuffle. You can listen to hip hop 1 second and Taylor Swift the next second, and there's less of a divide, there's less of a uniform and a culture. Like when my mum was growing up, she talks about the punks, and you wore a uniform. That was you, that was your identity. Hip hop, you had the baggy jeans, you had this thing. Now it's not really so much like that. Fashions are all mixed, musics are all mixed. My music personally, I feel could only be made in Bristol, because although it's got a lot of influence from a lot of other places in the world, like namely America, I listened to a lot of drum and bass as a kid, so I like to hear a raw bass line. But I used to make dubstep and used to listen to people like Gregory Isaacs in the house, so I need sub bass. My mum brought me up on dub music. Kind of all of these things get thrown together, and I went to Cotton School, which is nothing like living in Easton, for example. So even just my upbringing and everything just comes out in your music. Everything's different. So it is Bristol still does have a sound, but it's just a hybrid of the melting pot that it is, I guess. I feel like I was kind of from an analog era where things were a lot different, where you could, as long as you just worked hard, there was, you a lot of kind of going out and being a part of the scene. Obviously you can't do that when you're really young, but now getting your music out's a different thing, because obviously you've got the internet. So we didn't really have the luxury of the internet to use. So it was more like getting your face out there and meeting people and building real relationships. My label boss, the guy who runs the label I'm on, I've known him since I was 16, from Bristol, and it just so happens that we've both gone on to do things within music. And I think, surrounding yourself with like-minded people is the only thing. The best thing I did, I went to Access to Music College and just met a load of people who like to make music, and that kind of gave me the inspiration. Because sometimes if you've got your mum telling you, oh, get a job, or if you've got other people telling you, oh, music's really hard to get into or whatever, then you might get deterred from it. Whereas if you kind of go and surround yourself and immerse yourself in it, then whatever will happen, whatever's meant to be, I guess.